Just as when we're sharpening our flat blades, we want to maintain this angle as we move the tool backwards and forwards, ideally without any rocking, so we can maintain a perfectly flat bevel. The complication with the gouge is that we need to at the same time be swiveling it so we get around all of the curved bevel. If we only work in the one area, we will end up with a lopsided leading edge. Do these two things: have our bevel correct and work across all parts of the bevel to keep our edge regular and in good geometry. If you have this type of stone, the tool fits in this bevel. However, it doesn't fit perfectly, so we still have to move it as we rock backwards and forwards. This is a rough stone, 300 grit. Because we're going to straighten up this gouge, we're going to concentrate onto this edge. So we're keeping the bevel at the same angle and we're rotating the blade. We can see the scratch marks from the stone. The middle part here hasn't been touched yet. We can now feel a burr on this flat side, and we can see this corner being raised a little, which tells us we're grinding away this corner. I'll show you how we do the same type of grinding on a flat side. In some ways this is actually better. The groove tends to concentrate the grinding in one particular area. Some water on our water stone. We're going to do two types of action, going backwards and forwards like this, but we have to keep rotating the tool. And we can also use this kind of motion where we're keeping the bevel very flat. At the same time rocking the blade so we're going to do more work on this corner which we want to grind back. We're also going to work in different parts of the stone. If we only worked here, we would end up with a groove in our stone here. So we want to try and keep our stone nice and flat for the best result. Now the combination of those two actions help to keep a very flat, even bevel. If we're only working this way, the bevel tends to get a little rounded as our hands will naturally work like that. So when we go like this, we tend to keep that bevel very flat. So the combination gives us a very regular, even bevel across the curved surface, And it also helps to prevent a groove being worn in our stone. Or something to avoid is tipping the tool too far, which will excessively wear the corner. You'll end up with a very rounded tip. We can see the profile has been improved quite a lot. This was a 300 grit stone. Let's go to a finer stone. We can just put that to the side to dry. 1000 grit stone. We want to just grind away the scratches from the previous stone without altering the profile of the tip. Again, with that combination of some of this straight up and down movement while rotating the blade and this side to side movement again while rotating the blade. Examine your blade from time to time. We can see the rough scratches being replaced by finer scratches from the 1000 grit stone. Don't worry about the burr. As we progressively make this finer and finer, the burr will disappear. And move up to a finer stone when you're ready. This one is 1500 grit. Keep the same technique. Alternating between the backwards and forwards, pushing. And this sideways. Now we can see the scratches getting finer and finer, the bevel's becoming more polished. We can also see where we've ground this edge back, the burr is starting to become very thin and loose. It takes as long as it takes. Oh, the burr's almost there, just broken off. Tiny little sliver of metal. See that little slither of metal there? That's the burr, which progressively got thinner and thinner and now broken away. Now we can use a piece of wood to just bend the burr. Let's test our tool on a piece of wood. Not bad. Let's sharpen it with a 8000 grit stone. This is your traditional Japanese technique. This is Nagura stone, which keeps this stone flat but also creates this slurry which assists in the grinding action. We can hear the difference in how fine stone sounds. Let's test on a piece of wood. Ooh, very nice. It doesn't matter if we're using a very small one, medium, or a larger one. We're going to use the same stages and technique to keep the gouge profile correct and the angle of this bevel correct, as well as keeping the bevel itself very flat as it's evenly around this curve. It takes some time and skill to do a really good job. It's definitely easier on a slightly bigger gouge. A very fine one is quite difficult to do, particularly to maintain the profile as a very even shape. That's sharpening a gouge.